Recording progress. All right. Shabbat Shalom. Shanquilla, Shanquilla Carter, One Vision Ministry. So today I want to deal with appointed. Appointed, but disappointed. You are not bigger than the assignment. So, Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to minister. I pray that your will and word is to be brought forth, that edification should come forth, that clarity should come forth, that someone will hear you through whatever I say, though they sift through whatever I bring forth. If there be any tares amongst the wheat, that those things do not affect the edification and affect the word that you want to be delivered. Shabbat, Shalom, and Yada, Yahuwah. Okay, so going forth. Let me get ready to share my screen. Let me get things ready and move. All right. Forgive me, if anything shows up on the ads that I can't really control, but I'm using definitions from online. So let me share my screen and get moving. So I want to start off with the word appointed. It says by, through, or as a result of an appointment, often in contrast with elected, predetermined, arranged, set, provided with what is necessary, equipped, furnished. So moving from that and going to the next definition, which is disappointed. Depressed or discouraged by the failure of one's hopes or expectations. Obsolete, inadequately appointed, ill-equipped. All right, let's go. So to start off, I'm gonna hit off with one of my ancestors, one of our ancestors in Israel, one of the most impactful men when it comes to the Torah, Moshe. And so let's get to it. This man was appointed for the position of deliverer. Deliverer and savior is not, those words are basically synonymous with one another. I know many don't want to call him a savior, but he basically was the tool used to save Israel from the hand of the Egyptians. So let's move there. Going over here to Shemot, which is Exodus 3. And it says, and Moshe was shepherding the flock of Yithro. King James says Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. Rabbit trail here. Midian is the Midianites come from Abraham, so they're Shemitic as well. Most people don't speak on that, but let's keep going. So he was a priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And the messenger of Yahuwah appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. And he looked and saw the bush burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, let me turn aside now and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. And Yahuwah saw that he turned aside to see, and Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here I am. Now remember, it said that it was a messenger of Yahuwah appeared, but he could hear from Yahuwah, Moshe, Moshe. This messenger delivered the words of Yah. Let me keep going. And he said, Do not come near here. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is set apart ground. And he said, I am Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaqub. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look at Elohim, messenger. And Yahuwah said, I have indeed seen the oppression of my people who are in Mizraim, and have heard their cry because of their slave drivers, for I know their sorrows. And I have come down to deliver. I have come down to deliver. I have come down to deliver them from the hand of the Mizrahites, and to bring them up from the land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now see, the cry of the children of Yasharel, or Israel, has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression which the Mizrahites oppress them. And now, come, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Mizraim. And Moshe said to Elohim, Who am I? Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Mizraim? Who am I? Right now, this man is being appointed. Yah has an intent to deliver Israel from Mizraim. And the vessel that he has chosen is Moshe. Moshe. He's being appointed at this moment for the task. Let me go back. And Moshe said to Elohim, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Mizraim? And he says, Because I am with you, and this is to you the sign that I have sent you, appointed you. When you have brought the people of Mizraim, when you brought the people out of Mizraim, you are to serve Elohim on this mountain. And Moshe said to Elohim, See, when I come to the children of Israel, and say to them, The Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? And Elohim said to Moshe, I am that which I am, or Ahiah, Ashar, Ahiah. So let's move forward. I could keep going on there, but showing his appointment. So now let's move forward to the disappointment. They had been in the wilderness, time that came and many challenges had came about. Aaron making golden calf, all this stuff happened. Yah wanting to destroy it, or he put it out there that he could destroy the people of Israel and make a nation out of Moshe. But that was not the appointment that Moshe had. He was supposed to deliver Israel, and not him himself and his seeds become a nation, but Israel become a nation. So they come to a point where the people complain for water, and Moses strikes the rock, smotes the rock. This is upon the command by Yah to do so. But let's see. They come to another time that they come to the water, and let's see what is to transpire. This appointed man has now been given another directive. Bimidbar, Numbers 20. And the children of Yasharel, or Israel, all the congregation came into the wilderness of Zin in the first new moon, first month. And the people said in Kadesh, and Miriam, excuse me, and the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled against Moshe and against Aharon. And the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, if only we had died when our brothers died before Yahuwah. Why have you brought up the assembly of Yahuwah into the wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? And why have you brought us up out of Mizraim to bring us to this evil place? Not a place of grain or figs or vines of pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moshe and Aharon went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of appointment. And they fell on their faces, and the esteem of Yahuwah appeared to them. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe. He spoke to him a lot, saying, take the rod and assemble the congregation. So take the rod, physical rod, and assemble the people. And you and your brother Aharon, and you shall speak. What did it say? And you shall speak. And you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give its waters. And you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their livestock. And Moshe took the rod from before Yahuwah as he commanded him. Now he's being obedient at that moment and taking the rod, but let's see where this goes. And Moshe and Aharon assembled the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, hear now, you rebels. Sounds like he's having some hostility towards these people. Shall we bring water for you out of this rock? Where did Yah tell him to talk to the people like this? Then Moshe lifted his hand and bah, he struck the rock twice. Bah, bah. He hit it twice. Bah, bah, with the rod. Remember, he was told to speak to the rock. He didn't say nothing about striking the rock. Now, the early time, he was told to hit the rock. I ain't read that. You can read that back on your own time. But this time he was told to speak to the rock. And there was no hostility in Yah in this situation, but this man had been laboring with Israel, and basically he was a little tired, a little frustrated with the people. His frustration came out, though he was commanded to speak. His frustration came out in him pop, pop, striking the rock or smoting the rock twice with his rod. And much water came out, and the congregation and their livestock drank. But Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, because you did not believe me, you didn't obey me. Obedience basically shows what you believe, what you obey, what you guard, what you shamar shows what you believe. To set me apart in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you do not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. Disappointed. So the man Moshe, that many label, one of the greatest patriarchs of our people, he was appointed. And when it got a little bit, I guess, frustrating for him, he disappointed Yah and basically made it about him, how he felt. And hey, I can't say I wouldn't do the same. Dealing with people could be something. That'd be a work to deal with. But this man basically became bigger than the assignment, and he didn't get to bring the people into the promised land. He was supposed to deliver them to the promised land. He delivered them to the desert or the wilderness, but his predecessor or his disciple, Yahushua, actually was the one that took the appointment. And the funny thing about it that many don't talk about is that Yahusha actually completed the assignment. When he got done with everything, him and Caleb, basically he said, as far as me and my family, we're going to serve Yah. And he did. Remember, Yahushua did that. First one to have all of the people basically walking in righteousness together. Yahushua. We called him Joshua when we were, using the KJV back in the days, but he was the first one to do that. That man obeyed Yah because he was also meeting at the tent of appointment, and he finished his task. He finished his assignment. His appointment did not end in disappointment. But let's keep going because that's not my total focus. So let's go to the next. Sharing my screen. Moving on to the next. Going over here to Shaphatim, to Judges 4. And it says, and when Ehud was dead, he was the previous judge, the previous savior, the previous appointed or Messiah. But yeah, people don't like when you say that. And when Ehud was dead, the children of Israel again did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. We got a rinse and repeat relationship. We start disobeying him, and then we need somebody to come and deliver us so we can get back to obeying him again. But let me keep going. Therefore, Yahuwah sold them into the hand of Jabin, the sovereign of Canaan, who reigned in Hatzor, and the commander of his army was Sisera, who was dwelling in Harosheth Hagoyim. And the children of Israel cried out to Yahuwah because he had 900 chariots of iron. And for 20 years he harshly oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was ruling Israel at that time. And she was dwelling under the palm tree of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel, in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for right ruling. And she sent and called Barak, son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, now this is key. Many ignore this. Deborah's asking this man a question because the question basically it's clear, but many act as if it's not. It says, has not Yahuwah Elohim of Israel commanded, go, and you shall draw towards Mount Tabor, and shall take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and of the sons of Zebulun. Has not Yahuwah told you, basically commanded you? So Barak had an assignment. He was appointed for a duty, and he knew that. She was challenging him on that. Has he not said that? Has he not told you? Has he not commanded you? And basically, this is Yah speaking. And I shall draw unto you Sisera, the commander of Yabin with his chariots and his company at the Wadi Qushan, and shall give him into your hand. Yah had commanded Barak and him to be commander over some men to go deal or handle Sisera and Yabin's army, that they would fall in his hand. But this dude, Barak, he was on some other stuff. And Barak said to her, if you go with me, I heard what Yah said, but if you go with me, so basically Yah saying it wasn't enough for him. If you go with me, then I should go. But if you don't go with me, I do not go. So I ain't trying to hear what Yah got to say unless you go with me. Because Deborah was the judge. She was in position. But this commander had been given a command by Yah. So this is a military man. So he knows how it is to give direction. So he should know how to take direction. Yah has given him direction. And he like, I ain't doing it unless you go with me. He wanted this woman to go with him. If you read through Israel, women in the battlefield that's not a common thing. The sons were chosen for battle. Not no daughters, no mothers, the sons, men. But if you go with me, and Barak said to her, if you go with me, then I shall go. But if you do not go with me, I do not go. This man is rejecting the will of Yah. And she said, I shall certainly go with you. She know this ain't common, but she like, if for the will of Yah to be done, I'll go with you. Only there shall be no esteem for you in the journey you are taking. What you are appointed to, you ain't gonna get no glory from it. This is your appointment, but I only go if you gonna go. For Yahuwah is going to sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. It wasn't Deborah. It was another woman that killed Sisera. So Deborah arose and went Barak to Kadesh. This man was giving an assignment commanded by Yah, and only if you go with me. Such a disappointment. A lot of men right now let the matriarchs of the household run the household. A lot of ministries let the women run the ministry. The women have a great influence over a lot of Israel, not the men. They basically, we got to keep these women happy. Happy wife, happy life. Like what about happy spouse, happy house? The man is supposed to lead. And sometimes, you're going to have to allow some disappointment for them so that you can stay in your appointed spot. Your children gonna have to be disappointed. Your wife gonna have to be disappointed so that you can fulfill the appointment of Yah. They're gonna have to learn how to deal with that. Just like with Moses, the people were grumbling. You're gonna have to deal with that grumbling and still do what you're supposed to do. It ain't easy. Who said it was gonna be easy? You're appointed to this role. But I ain't done. I ain't done. Let me continue. Let me continue. So I'm jumping over here to Samuel Aleph or 1 Samuel 8. Now, Yah has always wanted to be the ruler over Yasharal. You can see it that he expected us to be royal priesthood, those of Yasharal. That's right there in Exodus 19, 4 through 6. But Israel wasn't content with that. They didn't like their appointment of being royal priests, and they wanted to appoint themselves a king when Yah himself wanted to be king. So let me read this. And it came to be when Shemuel was old. He was the priest over them, their leader, because he was one under the direction of Yah, the mouthpiece. He was like a Moses to the people. He was not a king, but he was like the Adam before them, the one that established the dominion. That was Shemuel, and he had sons, but his sons were not like him. So when Shemuel was old, that he made his sons rulers over Israel. See, rulers, royal priesthood. This man was the priesthood. His sons would be in the priesthood. They were the rulers over Israel. And the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second, Abiah, rulers in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways and turned aside after own gain and took bribes and twisted right ruling. They were appointed, but they definitely weren't doing what the appointment was supposed to be setting them up to do, which is serve the people, rule the people, be as a reflection of Yah, the image of Yah before the people. They were not being the image of Yah. They were not being Adam for the people. And all the elders of Yisrael gathered together and came to Shemuel at Ramah and said to him, Look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a sovereign. That, many other texts would say king, but to rule us like all the nations. So they didn't want to be set apart anymore. They want to be like all the nations. A king, a man as a king or sovereign, not the role of Adam, but as a king. That would be replacing Yah. They don't see this though. But the word was evil in the eyes of Shemuel when they said, Give us a sovereign to rule us. So Shemuel prayed to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, Listen to the voice of the people and all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, this priest, this high priest over them. They have not rejected you, but they have rejected me. Who is me? That's Yahuwah. But others, that, one of you, that's a higher from reigning over you, over them. They rejected Yahuwah from reigning over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I have brought them up out of Mizraim, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other mighty ones, so they are doing to you too. Same thing they did to Moshe. Same thing that happened in the days of Deborah, right now, happening to Shemuel. And now listen to their voice, but you shall certainly warn them and shall make known to them the ruling of a sovereign who does reign over them. And Shemuel spoke all the words of Yahuwah to the people who asked him for a sovereign, and said, this is the ruling of the sovereign who does reign over you. He shall take your sons and appoint them for his own chariots and to be his horsemen, and they shall run before his chariots, and appoint commanders over his thousands and commanders over his fifties, or to plow the ground and reap his harvest, and to make his weapons and equipment for his chariots. It's letting you know, just like Yahuwah appointed these others, this man would be a mighty one, able to appoint. He would be like a Yah to them, be like a Elohim to them. That's when you lift up a king. That's why people should not have that title king. But you can't tell people that, because that's the role for Yah. But they want to play king. And your daughters, he is going to take to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. And the best of your fields and your vineyards and your olive trees, he is going to take and give them to his servants. This person has control over everything. The ministries of Yah are supposed to belong to the people. Yah's supposed to be in control, but you be having one person dictating everything. It's like it's their personal business. The monies come through them. Everything is decisions. Everything comes through them. It's not through the priesthood or through the majority of the people or the leadership, the elders. One person is making all the decisions. If it's not Yah, the one person making all the decisions, something ain't right. Where's the righteousness in that? Where's the balance in that? But let me keep going. And a tenth of your grain and your vintage he is going to take and give it to his officers and servants, and your male servants and the female servants, and your best young men and your donkeys he is going to take and use for his own work. This person is going to be able to direct people for his own vision, his own ideas, his own thoughts, his own will, his own work. A tenth of your sheep he is going to take, and you are to be his servants. A lot of the household finances are going towards doing the will of that person. You see that some of these men, and you shall cry out in that day because of your sovereign, whom you have chosen for yourselves. But Yahuwah is not going to answer you in that day. However, the people refused to listen to the voice of Shemuel and said, no, but let a sovereign be over us. Then we shall be, we also, like all the nations. You won't be set apart, but you'll be like all the nations. And our sovereign shall rule us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Shemuel heard all the words of the people, and he repeated them in the hearing of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, listen to their voice and make them a sovereign. And Shemuel said to the men of Israel, each of you go to a city. Now, I'm not going to go into the text on this part, because everybody that has been following or reading their own Bible should know the king that they end up choosing is Saul. That's Saul. It's Saul. Saul is the king that they chose. This man is big in stature. I'm 6'4". He probably was bigger than me. Just, just he looked good, but his character was questionable. His character was not that of Yah, not like Yah. But of course, he looked good for the part. But let's go. Let's go. Let's keep going. I'm gonna get back over here and share my screen. And we're going to go over here. All right. So we're going to Shemuel Aleph 1, 1 Samuel 15. And it says, and Shemuel said to Shaul, Yahuwah sent me to anoint you sovereign over his people. That's that appointment over Yisrael. And now listen to the voice of the words of Yahuwah. Yah still speaking to this man, giving direction through Shemuel. That's who he chose. Yah had chosen at first, but the people wanted Shaul. They picked him. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Yisrael, how he set himself against him on the way when he came up from Mizraim. Now go, and you shall strike Amalek and put under the ban all that he has, and you shall not spare them. Don't spare them. Yah's given clear and precise directions. A lot of times people want to make it like Yah has put in vague commands out there. No, no, no. This is clear and precise. Put under the ban all that he has, and you shall not spare them, and put to death from man to woman, the men and the women, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camel to donkey. Kill them all. Then Shaul summoned the people and mustered them to Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 men of Yahudah. And Shaul came to the city of Amalek and lay in wait in the wadi. And Shaul said to the Canaanites, go, turn aside, come down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. So he sounds like he on plan. I'm finna do what I'm told to do. For you did show loving commitment to the children of Yisrael when they came up out of Mizraim. So the Canaanites turned aside from the midst of the Amalekites. And Shaul struck the Amalekites from Hiwilah all the way to Shur, which is before Mizraim. And he caught Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, alive, and put under the ban all the people with the edge of the sword. But Shaul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the cattle and the fatlings and the lambs. Didn't he say destroyed? But he kept and the lambs and all that was good in their eyes and would not put them under the ban. But he was told to put them on. What is he doing? But all goods, despised and worthless, they put under the ban. Stuff that they seen that didn't look like nothing, but the stuff that looked good, man, they put this to the side. Y'all ain't gonna see it. He ain't gonna see this. Yah sees everything. And the word of Yahuwah came to Shemuel saying, I am grieved. If you know anything about Yah, you know he knows the end from the beginning. So this is not something that he didn't perceive. Remember, he already had gave a clear directive that the king you got is going to take your sons, he going to do what he want to do. And right now, this king is doing what he's led to do by the people, but he's doing what he want to do. I am grieved that I have set up Shaul as sovereign, for he has turned back from following me and has not performed my words. He ain't heed my commands. He rejecting my commands. Very similar theme to the narrative that I'm bringing forth. He has not performed my words, and it displeased Shemuel, and he cried to Yahuwah all night, because Shemuel did what Yah said. And Shemuel rose early in the morning to meet Shaul. And it was told to Shemuel, saying, Shaul went to Carmel, and see, he set up a monument for himself. What's a monument? Like a statue, an idol for himself, and then turned and passed over and went down to Gilgal. This man is focused on him because he that man, he him. Not Yah is him, but he him. And Shemuel came to Shaul, and Shaul said to him, favored are you, O Yahuwah. I have performed the word of Yahuwah. That lip service, that mouth is saying, oh, I did what I'm supposed to do. I did it. Yeah, I did what I'm supposed to do. But Shemuel said, what then is this bleating of sheep in my ears? I can hear them. You know I can hear them, right? And the lowing of cattle, which I hear. You know I can hear them, right? You know I can hear them, right? If they utterly destroy like you were told, I wouldn't be able to. I can hear them. You know I can hear them, right? And Shemuel said, they have brought them from Amalek. Oh, he gonna put it on the people. He the one in command. He the one in charge. But they have brought them from Amalek because the people spared the best of the sheep and cattle to slaughter to Yahuwah Elohim. Huh? Obedience is greater than sacrifice. He didn't ask you for no sacrifice. He said destroy them. That was hey, that would have been the sacrifice right there. You know, kill them right there. That's the sacrifice. But no, your greed, your disobedience is in place. You you're disappointing. And the rest we have put under the ban. Oh, the stuff that we didn't value, yeah, we did what we were supposed to with that. And Shemuel said to Shaul, wait, and let me declare to you what Yahuwah said to me last night. And he said to him, speak. And Shemuel said, though you were little in your own eyes, were you not head of the tribes of Israel? And did not Yahuwah appoint you sovereign over Israel? And Yahuwah sent you on the way and said, go, and you shall put under the ban the sinners, the Amalekites. They were being judged. The sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. There's no salvation supposed to be for them, no saving them. They're supposed to be consumed, put under the ban, the sinners, those that transgressed the commands of Yah. Who are the Amalekites? We ain't gonna even go there. And why did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah? Why did you sin? But swooped down on the spoil and did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And Shaul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of Yahuwah, and I went on the way which Yahuwah sent me. You did? I'm, bah! He could hear the sheep. But you did? Uh, I did obey the voice of Yahuwah, and I went on the way of which Yahuwah sent me, and brought back Agag. You brought him back? When he supposed to be killed? Sovereign of Amalek. And I put Amalek under the ban. But the people took of the spoil of the sheep and the cattle, the best of that which should have been put under the ban, to slaughter to Yahuwah Elohim in Gilgal. That ain't what you were told to do. But you said, I did obey. Then Shemuel said, does Yahuwah delight in ascending offerings and slaughtering as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah? It's like which one? He want offerings and slaughterings, or he wants you to obey? Look, to obey is better than a slaughtering, better than a sacrifice. If you obey, you don't even need to sacrifice. Going back to that garden, we never seen a sacrifice occur, never seen anything being brought as a sacrifice when obedience was going forth. That sacrifice or them having to be covered by flesh occurred after disobedience came into play. Look, to obey is better than a slaughtering, to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is the sin of divination. Mm. And stubbornness is as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he also does reject you as sovereign. You were anointed, but you disappointed. So, bruh, uh-uh. You ain't bigger than the will of Yah. You ain't bigger than the plan that he set in motion. No, you ain't bigger than the program. Yeah, you think you are the program, but nuh-uh. No, we're gonna have to get you with a reality check. You know, you're gonna have to learn that you ain't bigger than the assignment, that you gotta sit down. Take a seat, take many seats, Shaul. Take many seats. And Shaul said to Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed. No, but you just got through saying you obeyed. I have sinned, for I have transgressed the mouth of Yahuwah in your words, because I feared the people. No, you was so proud that set you up a monument. Because I feared the people and listened to their voice. And now, please pardon my sin. Forgive my sin. And return with me and let me bow myself to Yahuwah. You want to obey now? But Shemuel said to Shaul, I do not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah does reject you from being sovereign over Israel. And as Shemuel turned around to go away, Shaul took hold of the edge of his robe, man, and grabbing at his fringes at him, and he tore it. And Shemuel said to him, Yahuwah has torn the reign of Israel from you today. Just like he tore his garment, he tore that reign. Like you can't sit in this seat no more. And has given it to a neighbor of yours better than you. If you've read it, you know that man that he chose was Dawid. Moreover, the eminence of Israel does not lie nor relent. You out here lying. But no, the eminence of Israel does not lie or relent. Yahuwah doesn't lie, for he is not a man that he should relent. Then he said, I have sinned, this Shaul, but esteem me now, please, before the elders of my people and before Israel. Like, prop me up in front of the people. Let them know I'm still anointed. I'm still appointed. No, you're a disappointment. And return with me, and I shall buy myself to Yahuwah your Elohim. Hold on, he ain't your Elohim no more? It's just, no, you out of line. And Shemuel turned back after Shaul, and Shaul bowed himself to Yahuwah. And Shemuel said, bring Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, here to me. So Agag, who's still alive, came to him delightedly. I'm good over here. And Agag said, truly, the bitterness of death has turned aside. He's like, I'm safe. And Shemuel said, as your sword bereave women, let your mother be bereaved among women too. Shemuel then hewed Agag to pieces before Yahuwah in Gilgal. That man thought he was saved, thought he was out of trouble. But nah, Shemuel handled the business that Shaul was supposed to. And Shemuel went to Ramah, while Shaul went up to his house in Geba of Shaul. And Shemuel did not see Shaul again until the day of his death. So for Shemuel mourned for Shaul, and Yahuwah was grieved that he had made Shaul to reign over Israel. Yah knows the end from the beginning, so he knew this was going to happen. This was not something that he didn't foresee. He had already basically gave that information right there in First Samuel 8. Like this, you get a king and he gonna do you wrong. He gonna set you. He gonna set you on a path for bad. Or come on. All right, let's go to my next. I'm gonna kind of go backwards a little bit in the biblical narrative, but I'm still on the same vein of things. Appointed, disappointed. You are, but appointed but disappointed. You are not bigger than the assignment. So let's go to the original assignment. I'm gonna go backwards and go to the original assignment. So let me share my screen. Share my screen. All right. The original assignment is here. Bereshit, Genesis 1. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. This is a spirit being talking about making somebody physical in his image. So this physical person was going to be his image because Elohim is spirit. He's going to create an image and a likeness. And let them rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over the livestock and over all the earth and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him. So that was mankind. Male and female, he created them. But he started off with just the one. But and Elohim favored them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds, and over the heavens, and over all creeping creatures of the earth. So let's keep moving. All right. We're going over here to Bereshit, Genesis 3. And the Nahash. Many people's texts will say serpent. Many used to try to say it was a snake, but the way it described that serpent was more like a lizard or an alligator or something like that. But anyway, that don't matter right now. And the Nahash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of the tree of the garden? And the woman said to the Nahash, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. Now, it just said do not eat in the original command. So I would take that she heard from Adam how to respond to this tree. Because Adam was told directly by Yah. So I don't believe that she was lying right here of what she was told. But this was not, her directive was coming from her Yah. Because Adam was supposed to be her Elohim. Many don't want to hear that. But the man is supposed to be the Elohim of the woman, the head of the woman. So Elohim has said, do not eat of it nor touch it, lest you die. So her Elohim did say that. That ain't something that people will teach or even want to hear. Just like Moses played Elohim to Aaron and to Pharaoh. If you read it, that's what it says. Adam was her Elohim. So she did hear that from Elohim, her Elohim. And the Nahash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die. Now he talking about this He talking about the real Elohim. He ain't talking. See, this is some subtlety to all of this conversation. But let's keep going. For Elohim knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. The problem with that whole narrative, if you're made as the image of Elohim, you're already Elohim. So this slick talk that was going forth, she didn't know who she was. She was not aware that she was the image of Elohim, that she was already Elohim. So she's being basically, tricked, beguiled, because she was already the image of Elohim. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her. I don't know. I keep having so many debates with people over that, but and she also gave to her husband with her. He was with her and he ate. They want to make it as if, she walked away, she wasn't with him. I'm like, this man was lonely by himself with all the animals, named them and everything, and now he has a woman. So he was with her. They in this big garden, you thinking that, the way people take it and has been taught is that the Nahash basically had her separate away from her husband, away from her man. But it says right there that with her, he knew what that fruit was. He seen her eat it, or he knew she ate it, whatever way. But he knew he wasn't supposed to. So he made a willful choice to eat it, knowing that he wasn't supposed to, because he believed Yah. He knew she was gonna die. So he took to himself the decision that if she gonna die, I'm gonna die too. That's all I could see. People say you adding to it. Let me get back to the text because I don't want to add. But and she also gave to her husband, who was aware of his command, with her, and he ate. He willfully chose. She was tricked, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were open. It didn't say one was open. The eyes of both of them were open, and they knew they were naked. They were naked all along, but they didn't realize it because it was not an issue. That was a norm. Now it was an uncomfortable thing. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves out of fig leaves. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking about in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah. I read earlier about the messenger in the bush speaking to Yah. So that's not a new thing. This is right here would be the first occurrence of Yah has a presence of himself, a messenger. It could be a being. Some people would try to say it's Yahusha. I'm not going to even add that. That's adding. It says here from the presence. So a being of something was representing Yahuwah here. Presence of Yahuwah Elohim among the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said to him, where are you? Again, if you read the text all the way through, you know that Yah knows the end from the beginning, and he's omniscient, omnipresent. So he knew where he was at. He was doing that for a reason, because they were hiding. Like, you can't hide from me. Where are you? Like I don't know where you at. You can't hide from me. Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself. And he said, who made you know that you were naked? You always been naked, and now you recognize? Who brought that to your comprehension? Who brought that to your understanding? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded you that you should not eat? Come on, y'all know what he did. We want to see what this man gonna say. And the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I ate. So again, Yah gave him a command, but he chose to listen to someone else. This woman you gave me, she gave and I ate. He chose to listen to someone else. Earlier we talked about Barak and Deborah. Deborah was a righteous judge, but Barak didn't want to hear from Yah. She flat out told him, hasn't Yah commanded you? If you don't go, I ain't going. Shaul, people said, they want to, keep some of these spoils that you told me not to, but the people, the appointed person, supposed to do what the person that appointed them told them to do. What Moshe, I want you to go speak to this rock. Oh, they get on my nerves. Bah! You're disappointing the person that appointed you. Huh? Come on. The problem comes in is that, we start focusing on ourselves and, what we want to do, how we want to feel, and we kind of see ourselves bigger than the assignment. When you get bigger than the assignment, you're going to become a problem and you're going to fall and fail. Right now, if you're a moray, if you're a person under a moray, you're not bigger than the assignment. You're going to have a problem. You're going to struggle. And likely, you're going to disappoint Yah. But I'm going to move on to the next because I ain't done. I know this is a long one, and that's okay. I'm going to keep going because I want to show you. I want to show you somebody who definitely got the appointment, but they didn't disappoint Yah. And they were never attempting to be bigger than the assignment. A lot of people think that I take issue or that I'm not one that loves Yahusha, but I got reverence for the big Og, for the big kahuna, the high priest, the second Adam, the son of Yah. I'm a son of Yah too. But my big brother, I love him. I love his example. I do. I got reverence for him. Just because I don't worship him, I worship the Father, it bothers people because that's what we've been trained in. Christianity taught us to worship Yahusha. Worship Jesus. He died for us. He gave us an example. But let's go over here. Matthew 26, verse 36. It says, Then Yahusha came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to the taught ones, Sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took with him Kepha and the two sons of Zabdi, and he began to be grieved and greatly distressed. What was he grieved and distressed about? Because he knew what he was appointed to do. And he did not want to disappoint his Father. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as is in the Shamayim. Okay, anyway. Then he said to them, My being is exceedingly grieved, and even to death. Stay here and watch with me. Like, man, this task is hard. This ain't an easy thing to do, but I got to do it. And going forward a little, he fell on his face and he prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father." He didn't say, I'm talking to me. Oh, my Father. The same Father that he shares with us. His model prayer says, "Our Father, which art in heaven." Again, I just got through saying it, but anyway. "Oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I desire, but as you desire. What you appointed me to, I got to do it." Come on. He ain't talking to himself. He ain't double minded like that. "Oh, my Father, if it is possible." He pleading with the Father, just like we in prayer plead with the Father. But then, what did he say clearly? "Yet not as I desire." Not my will, but your will be done, but as you desire. And he came to his taught ones and found them asleep, and said to Kepha, "So, were you not able to watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into trial. The Ruach, the spirit, indeed is eager, but the flesh is weak." Yahusha, his flesh was weak. That's why he pleading with Yah. What he's going through is the representative of what mankind is going through. He fit in the role of man, showing men how we are able to do it. He's being an example. He's struggling. Many say, "Oh, he's the father." No, he's struggling like a man because he was a man. Again, he went away a second time and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it is impossible for this to pass unless I drink it, let your desire be done. Let your will be done." But he's struggling. He's struggling. And he wants his men, his boys, to have his back. And he came and found them asleep again. He like, "Man, these Negroes, for their eyes were heavy." And he left them. He like, "Man, okay, whatever. This is my assignment. This is my appointment. I can't depend on them. Man, I love my wife, but she can't do my assignment. She can't do, she can encourage me on it, but this is my appointment. This is my assignment to be the head of this household. I thank her for all her encouragement, but it's my role, my job." This man had his disciples there. They fell asleep, but he's like, "This is my duty." And he left them. He went away and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then he came to his taught ones and said to them, "Still sleeping and taking a rest? Man, y'all still asleep? See, the hour has come near, and the son of Adam, the son of man, son of Adam, is delivered up into the hands of sinners." He was already acknowledging that he was the son of the Most High, as we are, but he's letting it be known right here. He's the son of man, son of Adam, is to be delivered into the hands of sinners. "Rise, let us go. See who delivers me up has come near." But let's keep rolling. All right. I need to stop my screen. Oh, no, I don't. I'm going to do it here. Let me see if I can get it. Let me stop my share and then go over here. Get it to the end. All right. All right. About to end this up. End this up. Because basically, what has happened, he done suffered in the garden and stuff like that. If you read some of the narrative, you see that he was pleading with Yah to the point that his sweat was beating up like blood, blood vessels busting, because he was really going through it. But he never focused on his own will. He didn't succumb to the pressure. He stayed on task. He was appointed, but he didn't disappoint. He knew he was not bigger than the assignment. Though so many want to make him bigger, they want to put him on par with Yah. Mm-mm. He stayed up under the authority of Yah because he know that's his role, that's his position. He's not bigger than the assignment. So let's go. Finish it off. And Yahusha stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, "Are you the sovereign of the Yahudim?" And Yahusha said to him, "You say it." Like, that's what you're saying. He didn't either deny it or fully agree with it. And as he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he answered not. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how much they witness against you?" He had already did his battle in the Garden of Gethsemane. That pleading with Yah. He don't need to battle with men. And he did not answer him, not one word, so that the governor wondered much. And at the festival, the governor used to release the crowd one prisoner whom they wished. And they had then a well-known prisoner called Barabbas. If you do your own study into the history, you'll find out Barabbas' name was also Yahusha. Yahusha was a common name. So Barabbas was also Yahusha Barabbas. He had multiple names, but Yahusha was his name as well. But they knew who he was. They knew this man was a rebel. He wasn't the same Yahusha that had battled in Gethsemane, the same one that walked around with 12 disciples or 12 anointed ones or appointed ones. So when they were assembled, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you wish I release to you, Barabbas or Yahusha, who is called Messiah or Mashiach?" For he knew that because of envy, they had delivered him up. They had issues with this appointed one, Yahusha. And as he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, "Have none at all to do with that righteous man, for I have suffered much today in a dream because of him." So Pilate's wife, like, we don't want no parts of this. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds that they should ask for Barabbas and to destroy Yahusha. And the governor answering said to them, which of the two do you wish I release?" They said, "Barabbas." Yahusha knew he was appointed to this. He already had dealt with this in the garden and knew what was coming for. That the people would set him up to be offered on a stake. Pilate said to them, "What then shall I do with Yahusha, who is called Mashiach, Messiah?" They all said to him, "Let him be impaled." And the governor said, "Indeed, what evil has he done? This was a righteous man." And they were crying out all the more, saying, "Let him be impaled." And when Pilate said that he was getting nowhere, when he saw that he was getting nowhere, but rather an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of this righteous one. You shall see to it." And all the people answering said, "His blood be on us and on our children." These are the people of Israel. So right now, his blood is on us. I didn't have nothing to do with it. Our ancestors said his blood be on us and on our children. And we are those children. Then he released Barabbas to them, but having Yahusha whipped, he delivered him over to be impaled. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahusha into the court and gathered the entire company of soldiers around him. And having stripped him, they put a scarlet robe on him and plating of crown of thorns. They put it on his head, mocking him, and a reed in his right hand. And they kneeled down before him and mocked him, saying, "Greetings, sovereigns of the Yahudim." And spitting on him, they took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the robe off him and then put his own garments on him and led him away to be impaled. And as they were going out, they found a man, Cyrene, Shimon by name. They compelled him to bear his stake. He's going to be impaled on a stake. I don't know. I really don't have to read all this, but basically they mocked him even further, put "This is Yahusha, the sovereign of Yahudim" on a sign on it. And the story always been told to us in movies that they put it had in different languages or whatever. So be it. But he was on that stake up there, and he basically was mocked to told, "Get down, get down if it's in your strength or whatever." But he stayed up on it. He went through all of that. He was appointed, but he didn't disappoint. Yep, he was not bigger than the assignment. He's big, but he wasn't bigger than the assignment. Many don't get it. I say this over and over. The directions are not greater than the destination. Yahusha is the way, the example. Directions are an example. When somebody gives you direction, is giving you an example of how to get there. But there is still the goal. It's not the directions that's the goal. It's not the example alone. It's what the example leads to. The will of the kingdom, the will of the Father. That's the goal. Taylor, I think it was Taylor or but that's the goal. That's the objective. You cannot focus on the appointed person alone, but he who appointed them and their will. We get caught up with the people that are appointed, those that are anointed, and not who appointed and anointed them and what's their purpose in even being raised up to that role. Okay, you're the head of your household. But why? What is the purpose of you being in that position? You're the head of a ministry, an assembly. But what is the purpose of you being there? Is it about you magnifying you or magnifying Yah? You're not bigger than the assignment. Right now, so much is going on in this world, but we need to focus on what's the assignment. All that other stuff is distraction. Wars and rumors of wars. Oh, yeah, that's happening. I'm like, yeah, it's happening. I'm not acting as if it's not. But that's not the reality we're supposed to focus on. The reality we're supposed to focus on is the will of Yah. The end game. So I'm gonna just end there. Abba Yah, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to minister. May some edification go forth. May your will be done. I thank you that maybe someone learned from this. Maybe someone has questions. Maybe I'll be able to answer or someone else. May they seek you out themselves, at a greater level so that they may find out what they are appointed to do, so that they don't disappoint you, so that they can hear well done in the end. We want your kingdom and your will to be done on earth. Your kingdom be manifest here on earth through us. May Israel, the true Israel, align with your will. And we open the door and be opportunity to one another as well as to the sovereign's will of Yahuwah's will. But we also want to be Yahusha as well. Yahusha means Yahuwah is salvation. So we want to offer to the sojourners an opportunity to be a part of your kingdom, to cleave to you, to obey you as they come up under us almost as children. Not for us to rule over in a harsh way, but they will have to submit to your rule and will. We are to be royal priesthood and to be loving, though we may have a level of leadership over them. We are not to abuse that authority. Let not your mores and leaders abuse their authority. But remember, they are appointed. The many leaders I mentioned today, they abused their authority and disappointed you. Let a greater level of those being appointed follow the example of Yahusha and please you so that your will be done. Yada Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom. Shankwil Yah. One Vision Ministry. Shankwilla Carter. Shabbat Shalom.